All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the business of community. We're looking specifically at this idea of the third place, that spot between home and work. And we're doing it through the lens of one big coffee company's journey, how their decisions really impacted that human experience. Let's start back in, say, 1998 with Maria. He was a barista, but, well, she felt it was more than just pouring drinks. For her, that smell of coffee, it was like a calling to be a guardian of the community space there. It wasn't just about caffeine, right? It was knowing Mr. Henderson wanted his dark roast just so. Or remembering Sarah's latte, extra hot every time.
Yeah, exactly. And that was their original growth engine, that intimacy. It wasn't driven by, squeezing every penny or maximizing transactions first. The profit was almost a side effect. It came because of that reliable joy, that connection. The store was a hub. And the loyalty, it was rock solid because it felt personal.
Okay, so if joy and connection fueled the engine, then this later corporate shift towards efficiency and optimization, that sounds like they were deliberately changing fuel types. When did that really kick in? What was the mandate then?
Well, it wasn't like a switch flipped overnight. It was more subtle, crept in. The pressure just became scale at any cost.
Yeah.
So the new memos, the directives, they're all about aggressive expansion, open more stores faster. Market saturation became the goal, which immediately created a kind of disconnect, right? Because scaling something built on human connection that needs investment, not just raw speed.
And you saw the immediate fallout for the people on the ground. The data shows in Maria's workload, for example, it ramped up so much she actually developed a tremor. And that kind of pressure, it led straight to high barista turnover. So they were constantly losing the very skill, the experience that built their name.
Absolutely. You're spot on. The foundation, the service itself, was getting eroded.
Yeah.
Constantly relying on stressed out, often undertrained new hires. The company looked like it was growing, accelerating even, but that engine, it started consuming its own parts, literally burning the heart of the company as fuel just to keep that market momentum going.
And that became really visible, didn't it, with the Mr. Henderson story. After 2 decades, like clockwork, he just stopped coming in. And the reason is just, well, it's kind of heartbreakingly simple. A new barista, barely trained, gave him lukewarm coffee, wrong cup, no big scene, just quiet disappointment. It's such a clear snapshot of that customer experience just fading away, brand reputation taking a hit.
That quiet exit, yeah, it says everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a signal that the core promise, what the brand stood for, was broken. And the real tragedy wasn't some sudden implosion. It was this slow, silent emptying out, driven purely by internal choices that valued maybe theoretical efficiency on a spreadsheet over what was actually happening in the stores.
But then things shifted again. There was a pivot. A new regional lead, Lena, and importantly, she'd been a barista herself way back in '02. She saw the cracks. And she didn't just see them as, numbers going the wrong way. She saw it as a crisis of purpose.
Right. She got it. She understood that just tweaking the metrics, pushing harder on the old ways, that wasn't going to fix it. They had to actually rebuild the foundation. So her countermove, pretty bold actually, a new memo went out announcing protected partner hours, time specifically for training, for connection, and, crucially, a cap on opening new stores in those already saturated areas.
Okay, let's pause on those protected hours for a second. That feels significant. You mean scheduling time that wasn't about hitting immediate sales targets?
Exactly. Time decoupled from that constant pressure.
So how did that directly tackle the turnover issue?
Well, it was a clear investment in the people, in their skills, in giving them a reason to stay. By guaranteeing time, actual paid time, for proper training, and maybe just as importantly, for rebuilding that sense of community among the staff. They finally started to sort of refill that reservoir of experience that had been drained. It was maybe a shaky step back from the brink, but it was a step that prioritized the original mission, that third place idea, over just the quarterly numbers. And fittingly, Maria, our original guardian, they asked her to lead the new training program, bringing it full circle in a way.
So for you listening, the takeaway here seems pretty stark. The decline wasn't really about external competition, was it? It was internal blindness, prioritizing growth metrics without fully grasping how those metrics were actively undermining the very thing that made growth possible in the first place, that human connection.
Which leaves us with a really interesting, maybe provocative final thought to chew on. If your business, your growth engine, truly relies on something uniquely human skill, experience, genuine connection, how do you actually measure that? How do you protect it on a balance sheet without letting the day-to-day pressure for operational efficiency just crush the very essence of what you provide? That's a tough balance, something worth thinking about.